Welcome to LG Electronics single-split air conditioning installation procedures. Installing the system right the first time ensures great performance and long life from the very start. Let's begin with tools and materials needed to successfully install an LG ductless split air conditioner. You'll need the following equipment: digital multimeter, micron gauge, vacuum pump, digital charging scale, EPA-approved recovery equipment rated for R410A, manifold gauge set approved for R410A use, refrigerant leak detector, nitrogen tank and regulator. And the tools you will need include a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a 5/16 R410A access port adapter, a 4mm hex wrench, flaring tools, refrigerant tubing bender, a bubble type level, tape measure, open-end torque wrench set for tightening flare nuts, core drill and bit capable of boring a 2 3/4 inch hole. Now we're ready to begin the installation process. Take a survey of potential installation locations on the job site. Placement of the condensing unit must be within the model-specific limits. The clearance for the indoor evaporator should be a minimum of 12 inches on either side, no less than 4 inches from the ceiling, and 7.5 feet from the floor. The clearance of the outdoor condensing unit must be no less than 4 inches from the back and left sides, 24 inches from the right side, and 28 inches from the front of the unit. Now it's time to unpack and inspect the equipment. The indoor and outdoor units come in separate cartons. Make sure the model numbers on both the indoor and outdoor unit boxes match. Remove the indoor unit from its container and packing. As you do this, check the unit for any damage. Locate the packet of installation instructions and review the installation steps before proceeding further. Take your time. It will pay off in the long run. Remove the wall bracket from the back of the unit and set it aside. Next, remove the Phillips head screw from the plastic tubing retainer and remove the retainer from the rear of the unit. After making sure there's no damage, set the indoor unit aside. After unboxing the condensing unit, set the rubber mounts aside and locate the 90-degree defrost drain adapter. The adapter must be installed on heat pump models when the unit will be mounted on a wall bracket. This will allow for a 5/8 drain hose to be attached. Now that you've confirmed that the system is free of visible defects, you can begin installing the system. Position the wall plate where the unit will be mounted. Using a level, mark off where the bracket will be mounted. Be sure to use enough wall anchors to hold the unit securely. The bracket must not bow away from the wall at the latch points of the evaporator rear chassis. Using the table in the installation manual, mark off where the wall penetration will be made. Remember to angle the penetration downward for proper condensate drainage. Now it's time to bend the refrigerant lines. Exercise care in bending the tubing. If you're doing a surface mount, use one of the 3 knockouts. A coil spring bending aid is installed on the suction line at the bend to assist you in making this adjustment. Position the black drainage plug on the side that will not be used for drainage. Using needle nose pliers, spread the clamp and attach the drainage tubing. The 18-4 conductor communication cable should be fed through the wall penetration and looped inside the indoor unit for connection later. Bundling the refrigerant lines, communication wire, and drainage tube will help make insertion through the wall easier. Bundle the drain line below the other lines. Proper drainage is dependent on gravity. Take care in guiding the refrigerant and drain lines through the wall penetration. It's always better to have flare connections away from the back of the indoor unit for easier connection and leak detection. Let's head outside to install the condensing unit. The condensing unit can be mounted in one of 3 ways. It can be pad mounted, bracket mounted, or rooftop mounted. For the purpose of this video, we will focus on a pad installation. Position the pad outdoors. Install the rubber grommets on each of the 4 feet of the outdoor unit, and anchor the unit to the pad. Now you can remove the flare nuts from the service valves. These may be discarded if you plan to use prefabricated line sets. Otherwise, these nuts can be flared onto the lines that will be connected to the system. Before you cut, the tubing configuration must be considered for proper oil return to the compressor. Remember the following points. An inverted trap must be installed directly exiting the service valves of the condensing unit. An oil trap must be formed in the refrigerant lines every 16 feet of vertical pipe run. Once the tubing has been cut, deburr the end and position the tubing to prevent filings from entering the tubing and contaminating it. Using good quality flaring equipment is vital. Follow the directions of the manufacturer of your particular tool. Connect the refrigerant tubing, and using a torque wrench, tighten the flare nuts to the torque specification outlined in the installation manual. Remember to use a second wrench to back up the tightening process. Connect the refrigerant lines to the unit. Next, perform a leak check on the system. Connect a nitrogen bottle with the safety regulator to the service valves of the condensing unit. Pressurize the system to 150 psi and let it stand while the electrical connections are completed. This way you can come back to leak check after finishing the necessary wiring.